Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to this short webinar about why aren't users happy with D365 and how we can improve this. We'll wait a second for people to join. So let's give 1 or 2 minutes for latecomers. So once again, this webinar will be about why aren't users happy with Dynamics and how this can be improved. My name is Wojciech Ozimek, and I'll be pleased to give you this short presentation and demo of our tool. Okay, guys, so first of all, if I may ask if you can hear me well, but please write a comment and if you can hear me well. And you can also maybe type, where are you from? What country? Region? Okay. Can you hear me, guys? Yes, perfect. From Spain. Welcome, Spain. Hola. Okay, so once again, welcome to everyone. Okay, so 1 more minute and we are about to start. Okie dokie. So let's begin. So once again, we'll be talking today about why user can be dissatisfied with big ERP systems and how to improve it. And maybe let me start by introducing myself. My name is Wojciech Ozimek. I'm head of product development at X+, and I built software for more than 15 years, different kind of B2B software. And so that's why I'm person who is super focused on user satisfaction, right, and building software that not only delivers value but business value, but also can be it's actually you know doesn't stand in the way. Okay, so that's exactly what we are going to talk about today. So first of all, for those who are users of big systems, we'll just briefly discuss why they can frustrate users, and well, we'll also talk about the side costs of this frustration, right? Because once again, and we know that ERP systems are not designed to make fun, obviously they just to keep control and improve planning, right? But there is obviously side costs of bad UX. And then we'll actually see how process mining and how process mining tools can help you, to improve user satisfaction. Okay. And then at the end, I will show you a demo of our tool, Executive Explorer, who's one of the benefits and one of the goals is to help improve experience with Dynamics. Okay. So of course, if you have any questions during the way, please type a comments. I will try to answer them. Once again, we'll have a Q&A at the end, so I will try to answer any questions also at the end. So let's begin. So maybe let me start by, well, quote of this famous guy, Steve Jobs, right? That and actually try to define what user experience actually is, right? Because people sometimes confuse user experience with design, right? About how software looks like. So color of the buttons and design systems, logos, etc. So it's not only that. Design is really how things work, right? And we know that I'm actually showing you Steve Jobs because he was a person who was fanatically focused on user experience, right? So delivering the best value from the beginning to the end. So not only by software, but in operating systems, but even box cables, etc. Right? So you experience when using the software, it's related to the entire experience, throughout the life cycle, right? So this can be, yeah, you can see that this can be very nicely um, pictured by this funny because this funny photo, right? That we can design one thing and users can always find this other way to get what they want, and this is especially important, especially um, important case when you have a big enterprise type systems like ERP or CRMs, right? Dynamics being one of them, one of the key players on the market, right? So I'm always, as I mentioned to you, I built software for more than 15 years, and I'm always amazed how people can crack, right, design and actually do things in different way that was originally anticipated, right? And obviously, we, in Dynamics, we have every ERP system. We have group of special consultants who just specialize in the this specific module. This is how complex they are, right? So in this case, um, creating flawless user experience is it is an important matter, right? So why actually this is important. You can say, of course, oh, let me just give you a funny story. We once asked um, like a board member of the client, so how important is the user experience and happiness of people, of your employees, and say it depends, obviously, which one, right? So once again, ERP system is designed to provide certain control, reliabilities, being able to analyze trends, etc. Various things, so improve decision making. But obviously, with more happy employers, right, and users in this case, you can get a like a reduced employee turnover, quality of work, right? So people do in the system, they understand, they like, right? And once again, employer branding, right? So a nice um, um, work environment is also an important part, right? So, so how all this translates into Microsoft Dynamics? Okay, so I will just provide you a couple of examples, which actually are results of our analysis um, of with using Executive Explorer, so our tool, within the ecosystem of our customers, just to picture how ridiculously crazy the user experience can be when using ERP systems. And once again, we are not trying to blast specifically Dynamics, right? It's simply the nature of the complex systems. And then we'll actually discuss how this could be solved potentially with our tool. Okay. Have a look at this. This is, once again, this is real data from one of the projects, right? So you can see that in 1 year, and this is actually a company that only have 300 users, right? So you understand this is not the biggest company you can possibly imagine, but in this in this company, people spend 2,000 hours a year just browsing through the menu of the application, right? Yeah. So now I think it doesn't require any further explanation, right? It's probably not the most satisfying job there is. Here we go. You can see that this is actually a task that is not very often repeated, but the activity itself is, you see, consists of of user entering the same value 99 times. So yeah, once again, it can be rather frustrating, right? So let's have a look at another example. So you see, when we just analyzed that a third part, of the users do the repetitive work, right? So you can see 90 of them perform work costing 4 hours per month, right? So you can understand where I'm heading. Obviously, implementation of ERP system can generate a certain traction, so to speak, in the company, certain pressure, certain dissatisfaction. But obviously, and I'm going to show it in a second, that there are also other factors related to to things that are simply not implemented in the most optimal way, right? So you see, all our users spend 950 hours per month, yeah, doing tasks that are repeated at least 3 times, right? So yeah, this could be somehow perhaps improved. Another thing, right? So you see, once again, people, you see, we analyze here the server client time. So we see actually if certain efficiency issues related to dynamics is not related to the system itself, but maybe to the like a bad network, or maybe people have old laptops, right? And something lags, just because of the work laptops, right? That are not, or desktop that are not um, the best they could possibly be, right? So once again, it can cause a lot of distress, right? Probably by yourself, that if you want to, if you're under pressure, you need to deliver certain tasks, and your system lags. This can be very, very frustrating, right? So yeah, so this is one different thing that this is obviously related to more to software and hardware, but once again, it translates into bad user experience, right? And once again, cause a lot of unnecessary cost, which I'm going to show you in a second, right? So exactly, is there any other cost, right? Because we talk about user satisfaction, right? We want to have smaller employee turnover. We want to provide optimal conditions for work so people can deliver what is actually necessary in terms of business processes, right, done in Dynamics. But obviously this can be translated to other things, right? And once again, I don't want to uh, sit on this subject too long, because process optimization is a different subject. We could spend probably an entire webinar just talking about the process improvement. But have a look at this data, right? You see, in the same company you have, well, in the same group you have two companies that certain processes are performed in a completely with a completely different efficiency, right? So you can see it's maybe not perfect, it's not huge on the screen, but you can see the column number one is one company, it's another company, and you have certain, like a, um, you can ask yourselves why there is such a big difference, right? So either, employees in one company are more efficient, more skillful. Maybe, there are certain distractions, multitasking. We don't know that, right? But obviously why this is the case. It's an interesting question to ask. And moreover, when the volume grows, so the industries when have the biggest volumes of operations, it can be really significant issue, right? Have a look at this. So this is the summary of the project, or the samples of the project that I presented to you. But first of all, you see at the top I wrote that if we assume we optimize 50%, we can save approximately 10,000 hours per year. 10,000 hours, right? So now multiply this by the rate card, average rate card in your company. You can see how amazing savings people can get. But once again, savings are not the subjects of the webinar. It can be side effect of project like this. But you can see that the recommendations or solutions for those inefficiencies are not they are not of these are not the greatest innovation uh, on the market. You can either use favorites, right, or you can mass value update function that can be added. You can add some simple drag and drops um, file upload, right? So certain things can be certain customizations that you can do to your system, or simply organize the work. Sometimes it can be simply a training, right? So comparing how people work and see what can be improved. um, Finally, it could be also hiding certain, I don't know, workspaces or fields. I will just briefly talk about during the presentation time that we have actually a special tool that can create customized roles. You can hide certain buttons, certain views, and these are one of the basic people who design a user experience, who are UX designers, know that the simpler the better, right? People have fewer choices. They don't have to think too much. They just perform tasks um, on their own, right? So yeah, so you can see there are multiple benefits of looking at the user experience even in the complex systems like Dynamics. Um, so now I will just briefly show you, how process mining, because today we're talking about process mining, which is obviously creating complex multi-layer algorithm, machine learning algorithm to, to detect, analyze processes, right? And task mining and process mining, and how this can help improve user experience in Microsoft Dynamics. Okay, um, I will not just talk a lot. I will just show you a couple of key points, and then we will just go to the application. I will show you on the real example. We can show you how tool works and what can be done. So. Yes, we call this application Executive Explorer because simply it explores, right, the how people do things in the Dynamics. And first of all, it automatically allows you to discover processes, so you don't have to map processes. It simply algorithm works and learns how people do the processes, provide you detail so the ways of analyzing the behavior, not behaviors, maybe more activities of users in the system. Allows you to compare, provide certain statistics, etc., etc. I also told you that we are working on the same, we have a tool called security setup, executive automat security setups. Maybe some of you who know our products, our famous executive automats, it also has a capability to define customized roles, so we're also working on the automated integration between Executive Explorer and Security Setup. Currently, it can be done, like a one-in-one, hand-in-hand. Okay, so let me just show you how it looks. So this is, the famous table. So you can check, the processes, and select those things that somehow it's clunky. You can see the processes that are on the top. They're simply the most complex with biggest number of executions. So you can actually analyze where people stuck, and then drill down and go further, deep dive, and analyze how people why there is such a problem. And right now, remember in the beginning I presented to you this famous picture of sidewalk. So this is dynamic sidewalk. You see, this is the process that is actually done in so many different ways. This graph actually represents how linear the process is. On the right hand side, you can see different variations, different variants of the, so how different users perform the same activity, right? So you can see it can be very, very different. And this is why it's so, so nice to be improved. Okay, I presented that you can simplify your user interface. You see executive automatic security setup. So on the left hand side, you can see the same screen from Dynamics, and which is like a standard role. And then on the right hand side, you can see what can be done. We analyze the process thoroughly. We see actually what people uh, actually click, what they need in order to perform their there's the processes. Remember, we can even automatically detect the process, analyze the processes. At the end, you can customize the view so people actually only see what they need. And now, small spoiler, obviously it can result in dramatic decrease of the license cost, which is once again a different subject, right? But you understand, you don't have to have like a most expensive roles everywhere. We can only um, define those duties that are required to perform specific processes, right? So you can see multiple benefits at the same time. Okay, guys, of course, there is a trial available. So this application I'm going to show you in a second, it can, if it sounds puzzling or it's interesting to you, we can provide you a free demo. So the link to the trial is on in the chat. So please, feel free to contact with us. We'll be super happy to talk to you, how we can improve satisfaction of your users and, get all these other benefits on the fly. And right now, without further ado, let me show you the tool itself. Okay. So here we go. This is the Executive Explorer. Um, Let me minimize my face so you can see better. Okay, so this is Executive Explorer. You can see here there are a number of processes. There is obviously a lot of information. This view can be customized, right? So you don't have to see all the columns in here. Various processes. There can be algorithms also when it learns. Provide also the information about the area the specific processes belong to. I don't have any process in here. Actually, doesn't detect it in this environment. But let's have a look. Maybe before I go further, have a look here. We have a number of executions, so how many times this specific process is executed, how many users perform this task, average time, etc., etc. Potential is actually robotization. Potential is another different feature that we develop, with this tool. But I don't want to go to this in this direction. It's still a different matter. So you can see there is actually high potential because its cost is high, which means that there is a lot of work done in this process. Let's have a look. It loads, so you can have some basic APIs, how execution, how many users, and you see this is rather complex task, right? Gee, so many executions. How many executions? Oh, it's actually 59 entries, 59 variations. So this task is performed in 59 different ways, right? So let's pick one. Oh, this is the one. We can actually enlarge it to see a little bit in more details. Okay, let me just enlarge. Oh, you see, you can see actually what is the how this task is performed. Obviously, the thicker the line, the more frequently this task is performed. And let's go, to the bottom and have a look. Here we can actually go even further and actually analyze in details, what was done. You see, I promise you to client server time, so we understand, try to analyze what is the results, why the specific tasks are performed in a long way, and so why people stuck in the certain areas for such a long time. You see business context, everything, forms. We can get everything from here. One thing, another side effect, you can generate templates for test automation. We have a test automation tool. I already mentioned to it. We are also building capabilities to create a reference process, so we actually can define, or we'll be able to define in the future, what is the, sort of this model process that we can sort of teach people um, and make sure that users are super effective. But if you see there is more, there are statistics, so we can have right now basic statistics. We are also working right now on the Power BI reporting module, so we can actually have more. You can see here, actually this is right now, these are obviously simple pivots, so we can play with this data as you wish. You can see there are different forms, right? So how people in different days spend, time on different forms, right? So we can actually play what are these clunky places in the system, right? So specific forms that are, for example, difficult for people, right? They spend a lot of time, right? We can obviously make different filters, as you can see here, by duration, by whatever you need. Okay. Yes. So once again, it's just a very say sophisticated way to analyze what's in the system. What I mean in the dynamics. What I would like to also say that this works unlike traditional process mining tools. It doesn't work on the system logs, right? So we have our own technology that works, that actually reads everything from the user interface, right? So what it means that you have actually the entire, you already saw it, right? When we analyze processes, that you can actually drill down to very specific, to every single detail, what people did, and what they clicked, why, what they enter in the forums, etc. So it's not just log analysis; it's a thorough analysis of all the activities in the system, right? All right, so this is how what the system is like. And since we are going to the we are just getting closely to the end of the presentation, I'm going to finish presenting, and I'm open to questions. feel free, guys, to ask me anything. I'll be happy to. Obviously, if you don't want to ask questions, you can send them to us after the webinar. I will be also glad to answer. And remember the link to trial. It's in the chat, so we can meet also afterwards. And okay, what system? Okay, let me just display the question. Okay, so what system does it support? It works with Dynamics 365 Finance Operations and AX 2012, right? So the older version. We're also working on other platforms. So, so it also covers CRM and whatever is actually connected to your Dynamics, right? But currently it's focused on Dynamics ERP, big ERP, finance operations, and older version. What's another one? Oh, where do you store the data collected? Okay, so the data is stored in your Azure, so we can create a Azure environment for you, so it can be stored in your own cloud. Obviously, you can create also on-premise installation on request. But I will also maybe say that we have we actually make R&D for 2 year and a half. So we also have smart ways to compress the data. We have actually retail clients, right, who can understand they have actually amazing volumes of transactions that are done, and it doesn't consume too much resources, right? So there are smart ways on how you group and then actually add additional transactions, to the already existing, something like cache. So it doesn't take you data centers like for Facebook, right, in order to keep the data. But once again, we can make it cloud, your own cloud, or we can make it on-premise installation, but it's not with us. We can build you your own environment for this. Guys, any more questions? We still have 3 minutes to go, so I'll be happy to answer any other questions. Yes, maybe what I'll maybe add as a sort of closing remark to today's webinar. Oh, one please. Yes, yes, yes. I already mentioned this during the webinar, but as some of you may know, Executive Explorer is one of our executive suites. So we have actually a couple of tools dedicated to Microsoft Dynamics. One of them being Executive Automats. So it's obviously our test automation suite. So you understand that when you automate sort of detect process, you can create automated test scripts. You can create automated so the custom roles. So to simplify UI to reduce the costs. So it's actually deliberate work from our side. We call it actually Executive Suite, right? So Executive Explorer, Executive Automats. Our mission is actually to make your life with Microsoft Dynamics easier, because it's obviously complicated systems. And my closing remark was to, or is to tell you, right, that this is normal, and that when you implement huge complicated systems like ERP, this can cause certain distress, and even people start so we hear from certain companies that people simply users, I mean the business users, hate them because simply it's a change. It's a normal thing, right? They change what they did before, so our mission is actually to help you to either improve this initial experience on the way to improve the to 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 make sort of um, the experience and usage easier, better, and because of it also to get business benefits, right? And better use of the systems, the beautiful systems like Dynamics. Guys, we have just finished, so unless there are any other questions, I will say goodbye to you, and thank you very much for joining today. And once again, if there are any other questions, it is not the end. You can reach out to us. You can type, take a trial, and yes, be happy to talk to you, right? Thank you very much.